Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills fell again in the playoffs.
It's extremely difficult.
Another disappointment for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills this season. They lost the Denver Broncos in the NFL divisional round. Yet again, they failed to reach that coveted Super Bowl again. This time, they don't even make it to the AFC Championship. And now, Sean McDermott lost his job, got fired. I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. By far, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, right? If an NFL quarterback commits 4 turnovers in one playoff game, hell, in a regular season game, they are not going to win. The last 5 years for the Buffalo Bills in the NFL playoffs. In 2020, in the wild card game versus the Colts, they won. In the divisional round versus the Ravens, they won. And in the AFC Championship versus the Chiefs, they lost. 2021, in the wild card, they won versus the Patriots. And they lost in the divisional game versus the Chiefs. 2022, the wild card game versus the Dolphins, they won. In the divisional round versus the Bengals, they lost. 2023, in the wild card game versus the Steelers, they won. In the divisional round versus the Chiefs, they lost. 2024, in the wild card game versus the Broncos, they won. The divisional round versus the Ravens, they won. And the AFC Championship, yet again, to the Chiefs, they lost. And this year, they lost to the Denver Broncos. Now, Sean McDermott is fired. So they're basically starting over with a new regime. They're about to have a new arena. It's a brand new start for these Buffalo Bills. I think what happened with the Buffalo Bills is not putting enough talent around Josh Allen. Josh Allen had no big play receiver this season. They let go of Stephon Diggs a couple years ago. And since then, they haven't been able to replace him. Yes, James Cook is an offensive threat. But guess what? Even though he led the league in rushing yards this year, he also led the league with the most fumbles by a running back. So what does that tell you? Yes, he led in rushing yards, but he also fumbled the ball just as well. Let's go to the other side of the ball. You're not going to win in the postseason giving up 24 points per game. That is atrocious on the defensive side. And I believe that's why Sean McDermott ultimately got fired, because he's a defensive coach. In the postseason between 2020 and 2023, the Bills defense gave up an average of 21 points in playoff games, noticeably higher than their regular season average. Again, Sean McDermott, defensive coach. How are you giving up these much points in the postseason and expect to move on to the Super Bowl? Sean McDermott changed the culture. After bringing him on, they won a playoff game. They haven't won a playoff game in X amount of years. They was able to do that in 2017, 2018, I believe. Then they draft Josh Allen. Then, they're off to the races. And they made the conference championships, a couple times in those seasons. But hey, they haven't been able to get over the hump. And I think ultimately the GM, the owner, said no more. We have to start fresh. We have to start fresh and see if we could bring a coach that's able to get us over the hump. Now, do I believe that was the right move? No. I think the Bills ownership got impatient and made an emotional move. I believe Sean McDermott should have got one more year, just based off them going to the playoffs every year in the last 9 seasons. Listen, the Denver Broncos won by a field goal.